in a nice park. Figured I'd stop and walk around here real quick. Like to be around water whenever I can. So I was on the way home and I was thinking of something that Kanye West said. And I know people don't like to hear quotes from Kanye West, but it just made me think about our situation today. And he was talking about how slavery was a choice. And everybody got really mad when he said that. Black community got really mad. Woke, left, left-leaning white people got really mad. Everybody got pretty upset about it. But I think he said that because at a certain point, like when there's millions of you, right? There's millions of slaves. There are few slave owners. And at a certain point, they had the numbers, way, way more of them than the few slave masters that there were. They also had strength because these people were becoming unbelievably strong. They worked every single day. It makes you very strong when you do that. And then on top of that, they had the strength, they had the numbers, and if they were willing, they could see that it was easy to just overtake what was going on. Change things for themselves, let's even just say. And they didn't. So at a certain point, you have to look at that and be like, well, they're choosing to have this happen. And I look at what we're into right now as a world. What sparked this thought was how Bill Gates, apparently there's 200 and just over 250,000 acres of farmland. Let's just say 300,000. And apparently Bill Gates owns like 260 or like 250,000 of that farmland. Like just some ridiculous number. And it just made me think we're just like, and that's in the US. I don't know what he has in Canada. Maybe he has some, I have no idea. But it just made me realize we're in this place where it's almost like we're held hostage. It's like we're being held hostage and the grip is just ever tightening. The farmland, North America, the wild laws that they're coming out with in Europe, everything that's happening in South America. It just seems like there's this stranglehold that's just ever tightening around us. And, there's way more us than there are them. I'm not saying that for any particular reason. I might even sit down. I might sit down. I'm not saying that for any particular reason other than, at what point do things change? This kind of makes me wonder. Because it's like, who do we depend on? Because I don't want to see anything violent happen. Nobody does, right? But, what are we to do? We have to depend on the government to change things. So we're depending on the thing that's the issue to change the issue. We're depending on the people who are benefiting from the situation to change the situation for us. It's like depending on a jail warden to open up the cells, release the people who claim that they're innocent, or just release everybody. You're depending on that to happen. What are the odds of that happening? So it just really makes me think, what's going to happen? What are we going to do in the world? What's going to happen? What are we going to do? When does all this stop? When does the overreaching stop? When does it stop? The overreach, the intrusive laws, like I said, the stranglehold. I can't see any way out of it. Mindset is really important. It's important for you to have a good mindset towards things. It's important for you to, like I said before, focus on what you can do, change what you can change in your own life, in your own family, in your own community. That's how responsible citizenship works. Jordan Peterson talks about in his organization, The Ark. So you worry about that, and if we all do that, major change can come about in our communities, and then I guess that can impact the local government, and then from there, I guess, bigger parts of the government, I guess. I don't know. Like while we're all trying to fight through the dead end jobs, or maybe not even dead end jobs, but just jobs that we don't really care to be working, while we're living life and not having much spare time to do anything, and raise those families. I don't know. Like there's just not a lot of time, or I should say, even there's not a lot of want from everybody to take on the task of becoming better and making their community better so it can affect their local government and then spread upwards towards the larger parts of the government. There's just not a lot of want. A lot of people are complacent. I tell people to focus on what they can change, but I don't want people to be delusional and just act like there's nothing going on. There's many things going on, and they're bad. And I really just don't see a way right now, especially with that farmland issue. What happens when he owns all the farmland? What are we going to do? When all of a sudden this tech guy controls who can farm and who can't, or controls what is sprayed on crops and what's not. And if you have a farm that's near his and he's spraying all sorts of wild stuff that you don't want any part of, it just wafts over to your farm and you're a part of it unwillingly. You know? There's the argument of maybe we can just create more farmland, but maybe there's all these rules and stipulations around that won't allow us to do that. So there's one super rich guy that owns all the farmland. There's another super rich guy that wants to put brain implants inside of everybody. And there's another super rich guy who won't stop building AI out beyond our wildest dreams or nightmares. And that's just in the US. You know? Not sure what's going on with the farmland in Canada, but there's definitely not nearly as... Actually, I shouldn't even say that. Maybe there is nearly as much. It's a pretty big country. Only about 38 million people there, maybe 40. I don't know. And then what's going on in South America? What's going on in Africa? It's weird because you don't want a one world government, but you do have to worry about your brothers and sisters that you have worldwide. And then also you have to make sure that you take care of your own first. There's a lot of working parts to it. I don't know. I was just thinking of that. Way more of us than there are of them, but we don't seem to be doing much about it. And I'll include myself in that as well. I just make videos, trying to build a family, trying to have some kids, trying to teach those kids the same thing that I try and impart wisdom to other people about. Impart wisdom. It's just a very odd situation. I just wish we could all come together and just forget the identity politics of everything. Some people are just so firm in their right and left stances that they just don't see what's going on. Recently Jerry Springer died, and I remember watching Jerry Springer as a kid, and there'd always be a guy. He'd be white, he'd be black, but there was always a guy, and he was cheating on one girl and wasn't telling the other girl he was cheating with about the girl that he had. And then when the other girl would find out about the other girl, when they would find out about each other, they would just beat the shit out of each other. But they would never attack the guy. And it would always be like, why aren't they attacking the guy? The guy's the one that did this. They would always just fight each other. But every now and then, they would be like, what about you? And they'd smack him around a little bit. I always felt good when I saw that. Because I was like, that's the source. That's the source of the issue. So right now, I guess I just I feel like Jerry Springer, just waiting for somebody to smack that guy, because he's the real problem. You know? I don't know. Anyways, I'm out.